Hi everyone, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I want to let you know off the top of it, I'll be speaking on behalf of our Council of Elders, our Church Board of Directors, and of course our CHBC staff about a proposal that we're excited to be able to share with you in advance of our congregational meeting on January 26th. That's a Tuesday night, and it'll be 7 o'clock p.m. And unfortunately, it'll be on Zoom because we're not allowed to have public gatherings yet. This video, just as a heads up too, is going to be broken into three parts. This first part will be me just giving a bit of an introduction to the proposal we're going to share with you. The second piece will have Todd giving you a bit of a walkthrough of the basement so you can see with your own eyes what we're talking about. And then the third part, make sure you stick around for it. It's important. I'm going to lay out just some of the numbers that will likely answer questions you have as the video unfolds. And hopefully this video then will give you a good idea of what we're going to be talking about again on Tuesday, January 26th. There's two things that have brought about the conversation that we want to be able to have at our meeting. The first of which, you may recall, we had a series of town halls 2, maybe 3 years ago. A lot of great ministry came out of it. We were seeking the Lord on how to reach people across the world with the gospel, people across the street with the gospel. New ministries like divorce care, our counseling budget, conversation cafe, and other things came out of that. But one area we never moved forward in was in the area of discussion around some basement renovations that were needed in what we call the main hall, the older part of our basement. There's discussion about needing some bathroom renovations and even airflow kind of solution. The second piece here is that the North American Baptist Conference, which we belong to, specifically the BC Association, which is about 28 churches, together we ended up selling a piece of property that brought in about $5 million to our BC Association. And our executive for BC made the decision that they, of course, wanted to invest some of that in GICs or whatever they've done. But the other thing they wanted to do is reinvest it back into the local church. And so they put out a call for churches just like us to be able to give a proposal to them about how we could use funds to be able to better reach our community. Churches have added a little bit of part-time staffing. Some have touched upon their facility. Others have used it to be able to launch some new programs. And as we've been having conversations rather behind the scenes with our elders, our board, our staff, we feel that kind of where the proposal could come from College Heights Baptist Church is in that area of basement renovation. On one hand, the timing here is perfect because we have an empty building. There's no user groups in here. This is a great opportunity to do the reno work that is needed without having to affect our kind of daily, weekly ministry schedule. So that's positive. The downside, of course, is that we're in the midst of a pandemic, hopefully towards the end of it. But our giving has been holding well. Paul, in this meeting coming up, is going to give us a financial report and update, and you'll see that we have a lot to give thanks to God about. But of course, that is a consideration. And I'll again explain some of the numbers as far as budgeting goes at the end of this video. And so we want to bring the decision to you. We want to give you info in this video. There's going to be a PDF available as well in the same place that you found this video, just walking you through what the proposal is. And ultimately at the congregational meeting, it'll be you, the congregation, deciding whether this is the time to do it or not. And in the weeks leading up to it, we sure hope that you'll reach out about this proposal. I think that Todd or myself would be the best people to talk to, just because we've been most dialed into the conversations with contractors and so on. So without further ado, I'm going to send it to Todd, and Todd's going to be in the church basement just kind of giving you a view of the changes we're proposing.
All right. Thanks, Curtis. Now imagine you're joining us in the church basement entrance here. And on one side over here, we have the kitchen, which is in great condition. It's really functional, and we don't need to alter that in any way. On the other side over here, we have the bathrooms that service this entire side of the building. If you've been down here at all, you'll know that these bathrooms are extremely dated. They're 40 years old. They're very tight to navigate. There is no space for a wheelchair for sure. You can't even get a walker in there. There's no change table. After talking with 4 contractors, the idea that has been put forth is that we would change these 2 bathrooms into 5 approximately single stall bathrooms. 1 or 2 of those would be wheelchair accessible. There'd be a change table available, making these bathrooms very usable for all groups. Welcome to the main hall of the church basement. Just to orientate you, over to my right is the kitchen, and behind you is the main entrance hallway to this room. This in many ways is the most used space of the entire church building. Every week we have multiple user groups using this space. 3 times a week we have the North Central Seniors Association. We have Moms and Tots meeting down here. There's Bible studies like LMO and others. We have youth ministry events and children's ministry events. We also meet down here for luncheons after funerals. There's potlucks for different church events. In many ways, this space functions a lot like a community center, which is fantastic. Some changes that we'd like to make down here, I'll walk you through those. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. We'd love to replace the flooring, getting away from the carpet so that it's a lot easier to clean after events like potlucks and all the children's ministry events where people usually end up dropping some food on the floor. We'd love to go with a vinyl plank which is extremely durable and really easy to clean. We'd also like to replace some of these doors, making the room more consistent. We'd like to try to match the kitchen door, which is really nice already. We'd have some drywall repair work to do and some painting, of course. We'd also like to create a feature wall on the wall behind me. If you've been down here for a class or a presentation of any kind, you'll know that it's a challenge to set this room up so that everybody can see the screen. Part of the reason for that is that our screen isn't centered due to the placement of these doors. So we'd actually like to remove one of the doors on the right and create a double door on the left, which would really help us out. We'd also like to shrink these posts as much as we possibly can so that they become less obstructive to people who are watching and looking at the screen. So we'd also like to clean up this room. Starting with the blinds, we'll replace those. Those are old and tired. We'd also love to remove these room dividers, which would allow us to reorganize our space. We'd like to build some small storage spaces in strategic spots where we won't really miss the square footage. Getting up to the ceiling, we'd like to refresh our ceiling. We wouldn't replace everything, but we would change out these tiles and put in some new acoustic tiles, which would help us with the sound in this room. This room is desperately in need of some new lighting, so we'd get rid of the fluorescents and replace those with some LED pot lights. And one of the biggest and most important changes we'd like to make in this project is to install an HRV system to provide air circulation. Currently, in our basement, there's no air circulation at all because it's heated with a boiler system. That becomes very evident when we have bigger functions with lots and lots of people down here. Very quickly gets really stuffy and uncomfortable. This issue has never been more important than it is right now in our world. This is a key part of what we want to do down here in our basement project. That gives you an overview of what our hopes and dreams are for the basement, and now I'll pass it back to Curtis.
Thank you, Todd, for walking us through that. And now as I bring the video to a close, I want to tackle what I would expect would be some of the questions you have, which is regarding budget, regarding cost, and can we do this? And so Paul Linkletter, our church treasurer, has let us know that we have about $400,000 currently in what I'll call savings. 80,000 of that, though, is designated for other church ministry projects. For example, helping sponsor a refugee family. That leaves us then close to $320,000 in GICs or the bank. The total renovation estimate is $240,000. We've had 4 different contractors walk through the basement, each receiving the same information, and we've received back 3 quotes with which we can give you a little more update to at the congregational meeting. But again, $240,000 is the estimate for the basement. And here's the really great news. I know that's a daunting number, but when we submitted our proposal for funds to the North American Baptist BC Association, they kind of blew us away in being able to say that they're going to give us $120,000 towards this project. So essentially, we're halfway there. And so what we're asking in this proposal is that we would take from our savings another $120,000 to be able to cover it, essentially matching the money that they're willing to invest. And so my math leads me to believe we could give that $120,000 to the project and still have about $200,000 left in our GICs or our bank, which sets us up still for the future well. And maybe you're wondering too, when would all this get started? Our contractors are all ready to get going in the spring, so perhaps as early as March, which means we do have to be a bit timely with this decision because they're somewhat waiting to hear back from us. They want to set up all their jobs for the season ahead. So again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Todd or myself. We'll put our emails at the end of this video. And thanks for hanging in, watching this. I hope you'll share it with anyone else who might have questions or interests. So bless you guys, and look forward to hearing your feedback at the end of the month. See ya.